All right, guys. So here we are back in Charleston. Charleston, I think, is probably going to be the next easiest puzzle, just because it's in such a small area and there's not much room to go if you know where to go. So we're going to be doing this one next, and let's see what we can find. So, I always tell you that there's a number in the picture. Well, if you look down here on what we believe to be Fort Sumter right here, you could see a clock. And on the clock, it's pointed directly at 4 o'clock. This number right here, I believe, is 4, and I'll show you that, but the clock really just gives it away as a 4. Also, quick thing about Fort Sumter, it was the kickstart of the American Civil War. When the Confederates laid siege to Fort Sumter, that was the actual start of the Civil War. So during the Civil War, who was the president? Of course, we had Abraham Lincoln, possibly another reference to Lincoln, but Fort Sumter and 4 o'clock. So we will begin next. Now, the verse starts out as, "Of all the romance retold, men of tales and tunes, cruel and bold, seen here by eyes of old." We know that that's a reference to Treasure Island, which gives us that sense of this being a pirate area. Pirates were, of course, really big on the eastern part of the United States. You had pirates like Blackbeard, Calico Jack, and Bonnie, and a whole bunch. So piracy was very big here. Next, you have stand and listen to the birds. Well, here over at the Gazebo White Point Garden, we know that we have this bandstand right here, and if we zoomed in on it, we can see that it's white with mostly a teal colored roof. If we stand and listen to the birds, the only person standing here is this fair person, this fairy right here. Also, the coloring in her aura or her wings very closely matches this roofing and this circular thing at the top. I mean, you have this little circle thing right there, or whether you want to say it's her hair, whatever it is. But this would most likely be the bandstand right here. So if she's standing and listening to the birds, possibly, this figure outline right here has like a bird-like shape. You could say this is a beak and this is the bird head. But, this would be standing and listening to the birds right here. Next, it says, "Hear the cool, clear song of water." Well, originally I wasn't going to use this point just because things are most usually sequential in these puzzles, but I did want to show you this real fast. So here is the stone with two water fountains coming out of it, and if we look close, water coming out, it kind of looks like on the fairy's wings, kind of looks like water coming down too on both sides. So if you wanted to say that, you wanted to use this point, perhaps you could. Personally, I don't want to use it just because when we try and make our number, this would just kind of be out of order. But I'll show you what it could look like as well. So we'll just save that for the next bit later. But next it says, "Hearken to the words, freedom at the birth of a century," or May 1913. And we know that from the Expedition Unknown episode, there used to be a monument right here. Josh Gates and the person he went with, I believe his name is Coy, found this in a basement, basically out somewhere in Charleston. So we know that that kind of looked like this nose right here on the lion. It had that shape. So next we would just kind of be going up towards this right there. Next it says, "Edwin and Edwina named after him," or on the eighth where a scene, a scene where the law defended. And that we used as the Gentleman Pirate Stone. And if you just want to get more of an idea of what happened, we can just say near the spot in the autumn of 1718, Stead Bonnet, notorious gentleman pirate, and 29 of his men captured by Colonel William Rhett met their just deserts after a trial and charged, famous in American history, by Chief Justice Nicholas Trott. Later, 19 of Richard Worley's crew, captured by Governor Robert Johnson, were also found guilty and hanged. All were buried off of White Point Gardens in the marsh beyond Low Water Park, or Low Water Mark. So, these guys were hanged in the garden, and then their bodies were just kind of tossed over here in the water. So definitely not a great way to end, but that's what happened. And if we were to look at the Gentleman Pirate Stone, we'll go eye level to it and see what we can find. Here we have the Gentleman Pirate Stone. This kind of looks like a grave marker. It's really big, almost as tall as a person. And trying to look on the picture if there's anything quite like it, I would say the closest thing would be this kind of what looks to be an African mask. We also see here, an outline of Charleston, and this could be an African mask, but for this particular purpose, we're going to say that this is also the Gentleman Pirate Stone. And where those pirates were hanged and thrown off, they were thrown off right at the point of White Point Garden. So right about there. Next, it says, between two arms extended, below the bar that binds, beside the long palm shadow, embedded in the sand, waits the fair remuneration, White House close at hand. So we don't have many points to work with. It's got to be one of the more simplest puzzles that we can do. We could see that this monument right here, the person points outward, and there are other armaments in the area. If you came out here, you would see two cannons extended out, or three cannons extended out this way. Those can be armaments, but I don't think that's what it is. If we were to be on ground level and looking at the Confederate defenders of Charleston, this picture also shows somebody pointing outwards. It's also fair to note that the two statues kind of have the same look of one above the other, so they could be similar to this if we're looking straight ahead. Kind of has that outlook of 1 and 2 and then something right below. So, this statue would most likely mean that we were close, seeing something that we can recognize. And what Josh Gates and Coy, I believe, what they did is they tried to dig around this area. And when you look at the side of this monument area, you can see that there's some water holes right here where water to drain, and those look very close to some of the eye slits right here. So they believe that, hey, those probably could be it. You can see also two those look like flathead screws right there, very similar to this. But they didn't find anything, and from what I could see, it looked like there were a lot of other holes in that area. But what we need to do is we need to see if we can make that number. So let's go to the map real fast on Paint. All right, so here we are in Paint. Let's work on the map. So first we start at the bandstand. Without going to the hear the cool sound of water, we're going to go this way, straight to the 1913 monument, which was the capstone. Then we'd be going up to the Gentleman's Pirate Stone, and then if it was very close to the Confederate defenders of Charleston, we would have what looks to be a 4 on its side. Now, we have a 4, but we don't have where the treasure is. Now, we got to look at the picture and see if perhaps we could determine something. Now, right now, this looks kind of like a 7. We only have 4 points, and it just doesn't stand out right. So, in order to make a 4, the least we have to do is just kind of get something up in this area right here. Now, going back to the map, if we were to look at our map, is there anything that we could see that might look close to what we're looking for? If we wanted to get up here just to kind of complete the 4, well, let's look around. And what do we see right here? If we follow this outline right here, this looks like an identical match for the lion's nose. Identical. These two white bars, or you can call them arms, whatever, they match exactly under the lion's eyes. And you have what looks to be a pole right in the middle of the forehead of the lion. Here we have a light pole, and I can't say for sure what kind of a light pole this is, but according to the line, it says beside or below the bar that binds. The bar that binds normally would be iron. Iron bars or shackles, that's what kept you bound, especially if you were a slave. And this picture right here deals with African Americans, most likely slavery coming to America. So an iron pole, iron shackles, an iron bar that binds, and here's two arms or two bars, and it matches exactly here. So let's look at our map real fast. If we were to continue this line from the Confederates, defenders of Charleston, and we came down, well, we would still get that 4, wouldn't we? So, looking back at the picture, if it says between two arms extended and below the bar that binds, along the long palm shadows, well, we got a lot of long palms over here, waits the fair remuneration, White House close at hand. The White House is a little further down here, the Palmer House, but what I believe is that right here, this is where you're going to find the treasure. It matches up perfectly, and if we just kind of pulled this up right here, that would kind of look like a 4 as well. Just like in Milwaukee, this is a backwards 4, but we also have on our map a 4 as well. And I just want to show you, if we use the water fountain, if we went from the gazebo to the water fountain, the only thing here that bothers me is that we usually do things sequentially. So if we didn't do things sequentially, we can just kind of make this kind of a design right here, which looks like a better 4. But if we did things in order, we would go up, down, up, and around. So this definitely wouldn't look as good, which is the reason why I'm going to say that we're just going to stay with this design right here. That looks more like a 4. And if we were just to rotate it a little bit, boom, we got ourselves a 4. And here, even though this might not be the best looking 4, we also have another 4. When I was talking to Josh Gates, actually, we were talking about Charleston real fast, and he said that he thought it was really close to the Defenders of Charleston statue, which I just pulled up right here. And I told him he was close, and he said, where did I think it was? And I told him across the street. And I told him I could show him, and he kind of rolled his eyes, and I don't think he believed me. But Josh Gates, if you're watching, I said it was across the street, and that's where I believe that it is, right across the street. And one more thing, we want to see if we can make a number with the ferry. So if we pull up the ferry real close, let's just see if we can see something right there. It kind of resembles right here. Kind of a little off, but we got ourselves what looks to be a 4 right there. Just a little bit on its side. So that's what I believe it is. I believe that that's the solution. And if you guys are out there in Charleston, hopefully you guys get a chance to dig and find a cask. All right, thanks a lot. We'll move into San Francisco next. Talk to you later.